Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here, and today we're going to be talking about Alone episode 7, giving you a breakdown and some thoughts from that episode. As always, spoiler alerts, we're going to talk about people who have gone home, and then we're going to actually show you how to put together a Figure-4 Deadfall, which Callie used in that episode to get rid of the mouse that was annoying her in camp. So let's jump into it. First, we're going to talk about the people that went home. So Greg split this episode. Greg fell into the water, felt like he was hypothermic, and then just couldn't get that body heat back up again. If you think back to season 2, I believe it was Jose who dumped out of his kayak that he made and fell into the water, and that was the end for him. Dave, who won season 2, fell into the water, but he seemed to be able to warm up again. It could be easy, you know, as an outsider looking in, just be like, well, just make a fire and warm up. But when you've already been pushed over 50 days to really press your body, low calories, you're alone, just a lot of emotions and stuff, your body's already weak, your mind is in a tough spot, and then you fall into the drink, you're just like, that's it, I'm done. And Greg didn't even quit immediately, he just bailed after he couldn't get warm again. He was starting to be nervous for himself, which is smart. You know, if you say like, my mind is not thinking as clearly as it should, you gotta be aware of what's going on. I wonder what Dave did in season 2 that kept him in the place where he was able to stay even after he fell into the water. He didn't fall totally in, he kind of fell in up to his waist, it looked like. So not his whole body was soaking wet, but yeah, I'd be interested to see what his thoughts were on why he was able to push through and stay there. So right now we've got Megan, Carly, Callie, Dave, and Fowler who are still in on the show. And I want to give a shout out to Fowler because he's been watching and commenting on these post-episode commentaries that I've been doing. So thanks for watching, and his YouTube channel is Fowler's Makery and Mischief, I believe it is, and I'll put a link down below in the description section so you can head over there and see what he's doing. He's from my neck of the woods. I don't know him personally, but seems like a nice guy. He's from up in Maine, and I'm down here in New Hampshire. He did catch that bird, which was cool. I was thinking about actually making that trap in this video to show you how to make one of those traps. It's just a little bit more work, so I figured let's just do a figure 4 today and show you what Callie did to catch the mouse. If you haven't seen it, my last video was actually from SHOT Show 2017, which is the Shooting, Hunting, and Outdoors trade show out in Las Vegas, and I got a couple different people to do, you know, just a quick commentary on Alone, so it wasn't specifically an episode response as much as kind of overall thoughts from various people who have been connected to the wilderness survival world. So Dave Canterbury, EJ Snyder, and then Joe Flowers, he works with the Condor Tool and Knife, and he designed Alan's kukri, and Alan won on the first episode. And I've actually got a video that I'll be releasing soon that is an overview of what Condor Knife and Tool makes as far as new gear and some of their older gear. And also Joe talked to Alan after the season was over and said, hey, what would you change? What would you adapt from the kukri you used? Alan made some changes, and now they've put out a new kukri, which has a kydex sheath, really cool looking, and it's based on Alan Kay's recommendations for improvements to the kukri he used when he won season 1 of Alone. All right, we're gonna head into the woods now and show you how to make or to set up a Figure 4 Deadfall. I'm not gonna do a ton of the carving on camera because honestly I find it not super exciting. But we're gonna head into the woods and show you how to at least set it up. A couple comments on traps. First is that when you make traps, volume is gonna be your friend. So you wanna have a bunch of traps, not just one trap. If you set one and it gets bumped over, or you know, you walk away, you didn't even realize, oh man, like, you know, 20 minutes after I set it up, the thing fell over and I thought it was good for the next 10 hours. That's an issue. So you wanna set up a bunch of traps. That's one of the first things. Second thing is, definitely make sure you put your bait on your trigger stick before you have the whole thing set up. It's definitely a hassle. I've done this before. You get the whole thing set, you're like good to go. Oh, I forgot to bait the trigger stick. You go to bait it and the whole thing falls over. So that's the second thing. Third is know what you're going for as far as your weight. So Callie was going for a mouse, so it was a small trap, but it had enough weight to take out the mouse. And I've heard different things. I've heard some people talk about, you know, put a hard surface down so when the trap falls, it'll crush that animal. I've heard, actually at SHOT Show, Dave Canterbury did a little seminar, and he said it's not really crushing as much as it's gonna suffocate. So whatever it is, you wanna make sure you got a good amount of weight. If you're trying to get a raccoon, don't get a 2-pound rock. You gotta get a big hefty rock. So let me get the elements of the Figure 4 that I've already got carved. We'll show you how to set it up, and we'll show you how it works. What we're gonna show you here are the 3 elements to the Figure 4. These are a bit large You can see how big that is. Generally, I wouldn't use one this big for a squirrel, which is kind of the system we're going to be talking about today. But I like to use large ones when I'm doing seminars because people can actually see, you know, the different elements. They're easier to handle and such. So you've got 3 sticks. You're going to have your vertical support stick. You're going to have the angled stick, which is going to support your rock out here or your heavy log, and then you're going to have your trigger stick as well. So the carving process, honestly, I found the easiest way to figure it out is to see a picture and then to just start carving. And usually you do it and you're like, oh, I didn't carve that section deep enough, or I got to carve something more out here. So it's just really a trial and error I found to actually get the experience enough to get the figure 4 all set up. The best way I found to do it is carve it, set it up, and kind of put your hand on like it was the rock to put some pressure down and say, okay, does it actually stand? Is it sturdy enough? Did anything snap? I've definitely carved them before, put weight on it, and just had something snap because I just carved too thin into the wood. So once you get it set up and you see, yeah, it actually holds, then you're gonna get your rock, you're gonna get your whole system set up. Now there's a lot of things to think about as far as location and, you know, funneling the animal into the trap and such. I'm gonna show you here on the ground there are some squirrel tracks. So if I was gonna be trying to catch a squirrel, you know, I'd be using bait, something that they'd like, hopefully. And then also there's lots of tracks in this area, so I know there's definitely squirrel here. Let me show you the squirrel tracks in the snow so you can see that, and then we'll set it up. So here are your squirrel tracks. Some people can confuse these with rabbit tracks. Rabbit tracks definitely have a slightly larger print than these guys. I mean, depending obviously on the size of the rabbit. The other thing to know about squirrel tracks is you've got 2 kind of side by side and then 2 up front. Rabbit tracks more often are like 1, 2, larger than that obviously. But then the back feet are more often offset. So you got 1, 2, and then like 3, 4 like that. Squirrel track, and look where it goes, right up to the base of a tree. And that's how squirrels travel. You know, they want to be near a tree so they could run up and get away. And you can see this squirrel has gone on this way. Okay, so without all the weight of the rocks and that awkwardness, I just want to show you generally how a figure 4 works. You have these 3 sticks. You're going to have 1 support stick, which I generally carve like that, kind of a bit of a slope. If I had, you know, time and a knife out here, was going to make this exactly how I want it perfectly, I would actually make this a little bit flatter, so it had a better, did a better job supporting my trigger stick. You don't want to bury this in the ground because you do want it to kick out. For the sake of demonstration here though, I'm just going to support it that way so we can understand the process of putting this together. Next, what I generally do is I try to get my trigger stick set up like this, and then I try to put my support stick, put them all together, and then what I do is I try to put pressure on this. So this is my support stick where the rock is going to be, and you know, if as I put pressure on it, it falls apart like that. If I put pressure on it, it kicks off this way. It tells me what I need to do as far as carving and changes in my trap system. Well, again, just for the sake of demonstration, so we've got our support stick here, we've got our vertical stick, and then we have our trigger stick. And when they're all lined up, that's what it's going to look like. The weight of the rock is down that way, and you've got a little notch here and then a notch down here in your trigger stick and a dovetail, so that'll fit in nicely there. So it's not a ton of carving, but as you do it, you want to make sure, you know, carve 1 element, see how it fits together with the second element. Okay, that's good. Now add the 3rd element, and then you've got your system set up. So now that we've shown you in a basic way, you know, idea what it looks like, we'll get the rock out, we'll set it up, and I will tell you that getting the rock balanced and not crushing your hands or hurting yourself, it's an art form, it's not a science. One thing you can do is when you get your rock here, you can put some little supports on the sides so the rock doesn't waver back and forth. You want to be careful though, because if those support pieces fall underneath the rock when the trigger is activated, it might actually keep the trap from doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is crushing the animal. So just be aware of that, but you can use little support sticks. And if you do like a double figure 4 with a big log, that's one of the ways they often do it, is with support sticks. All right, so that's what it looks like. Let's show you what it looks like to actually set it up with the rock, and then we'll activate it. All right, so here it is all set up. Very sensitive. I've been working on it for a bit. You can see your figure 4 like that. There's your rock. I've cleared out the snow there so it'll land on frozen ground. Ideally, you'd actually put another flat rock on there so you have a hard surface hitting a hard surface. Here's the concept. Your squirrel comes along, touches your trigger stick right here, and it crushes the squirrel. Let me offer one final thought here. So you saw the figure 4 set up, you saw squirrel tracks. If I had bait, you know, I would have baited the stick and maybe we'd get a squirrel for a meal. I've got these components, they were already carved. My car is right over there. I woke up this morning after about 5.5 hours, 6 hours of sleep, had food. I'm in warm clothing. I'm a little bit wet now because I was kneeling down in the snow to set this up, but I can go to my car, drive home in 15 minutes and change. And I'm feeling a little bit frustrated because, you know, there's so much balancing as you put the whole thing together. Imagine being out there for 20, 30, 40, 50 days, having to carve these on your own. You're hungry, you're tired, you're alone. I mean, I just give a huge amount of credit to these guys who are out there doing this, keeping a positive mental attitude and actually making it happen. So again, it's easy to be, you know, a couch quarterback, to be like, oh, they should have done this, 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 and this. But man, anybody who's out there really pressing themselves, even the guys who tapped out relatively early, they were there for a handful of days. Man, just try to do one overnight in a survival situation and it'll press you. So kudos to those guys. You saw the figure 4. Practice, practice, practice. Dirt time, mastery of skills. Once you get that down, you can feel actually, yeah, I know how to do this. And you know, then if you're in a situation where you need to trap food, you've got some idea how to set the thing up. Figure-4 Deadfalls, lots of different options. Snares, you see them using those also on the show. But just want to give a big thumbs up to you guys who are on the show, who were on it and who are still on it. Kudos. It's a lot of hard work to be out there doing that as the weather gets colder and you're more and more lonely. You guys are doing a great job. All right, everyone, thanks for checking out the video. I've got links down below to the other commentaries I've done on the various episodes of Alone, so check those out. And we got a couple more episodes to see who's the final victor in Alone Season 3. Take care.